Evaluation of universal grammar approach to second language acquisition. Now, as we discuss it, let me remind you that over here we are not making a differentiation between acquisition and learning. This acquisition was made by Stephen Gresham and is popular in different research fields. However, for this course, we are using the term second language acquisition and second language learning interchangeably. So, looking at the scope of universal grammar, let us first talk about the achievements of the second universal grammar for second language acquisition. Now, the achievement of universal grammar is that since it aims to describe and explain the human language, it is directly or indirectly related to second language learning. So aspects of it have to relate to second language learning or acquisition because it is dealing with not how languages are learned, but the properties of a human language. Now this allows an understanding about the constraints that the learners or the teachers might face when they are teaching or learning a language in a formal context. If we understand the principles behind the whole thing, we will be able to teach our students better and understand the constraints that they are facing as they are moving towards learning their second language. It is to be remembered that this is a linguistic theory and not a learning theory. So we can apply this linguistic theory to understand aspects of learning and to see how things take place in terms of second language acquisition. However, primarily, universal grammar is a linguistic theory. A linguistic theory is a theory which is looking at the language itself and which is looking at the properties of the languages which are similar across languages, although it also takes into account the differences and it explains those differences and similarities. So, given this trait, it has been hugely influential in drawing certain hypotheses about the learning of the second language. It also helps or has helped in exploring the interplay of the first language learning or the first language with the second language. So by positioning first language against second language and looking at the processes of the first language or the properties of the first language, somehow it makes us understand the task or the challenge of second language learning, and we are able to determine or actually at least hypothesize what is going to be more difficult in relation to other aspects of second language acquisition. It facilitates understanding of linguistic knowledge that the learners bring to the class. So, the transfer that takes place of the first language that the learners bring to their class into the second language learning or into the second language produced by the learners, which we call interlanguage, allows you to understand what is going on in the minds of the learners. This reduces, if we look at it from a classroom perspective, it reduces the frustration of the teacher if she or he understands what is going on behind the scenes. The primary concern of universal grammar is, let me remind you, is only description and explanation of the formal system, describing the formal system that underlies language, and its scope does not include a theory of processing of learning. That is, how does learning take place? It does not concern itself with that. So it is more of a property theory than a transition theory.